This is 30th anniversary of a Tiananmen Massacre memorial. Protest against the Chinese Communist regime crashed down on Chinese people and killing and made the massacre happen 30 years ago. 我们今天在这里有中国民主党、民主中国阵线、中国民主团结联盟、台湾进步党、台湾联合会、同乡会、美国共和党、民主党和我们社会主义党的代表都来这里来参加我们的活动。We would like to thank all the above organizations and the government officials to come and support Chinese democracy and human rights. We shall never forget 30 years ago, the Tiananmen Massacre happened. More than 10,000 people disappeared overnight. 我们永远不会忘记30年前的今天，1万人以上丧失了他们的生命，他们就无影无踪了。现在，首先让我们起立，为在6·4民主运动中牺牲的英雄们，和在过去多年中与共匪抗战中牺牲的无辜的成千上万的居民们，我们起立为他们默哀1分钟。Now, please stand. We'll salute and be silent for 1 minute for the heroes of a Tiananmen democracy movement people, students, citizens, and all the people there who were killed by the Communist Party regime military. And in the past 70 years, ever since the Communist Party regime took over China, those who lost their lives, we will do 1 minute silence.
We're going to have a few words from our organizer, Jane Chu Hong, who was at Tiananmen Square on June 4th, 1989.
30年前 30 years ago today, I was in Tiananmen Square. Millions of people were on the street. We protested against the Chinese Communist Party corruption and do not let people to vote. 30年前的今天，我们成千上万的人在天安门广场抗议中共政府的贪污腐化，不让人民投票。People were everywhere, on the street, on the wall, on the tree, and even from their windows from tall high-rise. People all want democracy. People all want to say we can have a freedom to say what we want to say. Because the Chinese people never had that time, ever since the Communist Party took over. 中国人民自从70年前中国共产党占据了中国大地以后，中国人民就没有一天能够自如地表达他们的心情，说出他们想说的心里话。There were 56 days people were on the Tiananmen Square. Those people who were working, after their work, they go there to support the students. They said, we go support you after our work every day. And the students lives on Tiananmen Square. They demanded democracy for the entire country and all the Chinese people. But during that 56 days, we have many sad stories happened. I saw in my eyes, outside the big red wall, there was a military truck was torn apart and burned down. And the neighbors surrounding that military truck and told me the story. They said they saw the military people drove in that truck and then jumped down and started tearing apart that trucks apart and then start burning that truck. That is how the Chinese Communist Party regime planning how to kill people. They planned the massacre by making excuses and making up the fake stories. 我在中南海的大红墙外看到了一辆军车，这辆军车，街坊们告诉我，他们亲眼看到从那个军车上停下车以后跳下来的军人，把这个军车撕得乱七八糟，然后就点火了。他们把罪责推向了学生和市民，这就是共匪要屠杀的开始，而他们从来没有停止过对人民的镇压、屠杀和欺骗。The Chinese Communist regime is living on their lies every day. They don't dare to let people to know the truth. Anybody who wants to tell the truth, you will be arrested, beaten up, be silenced, and disappeared. 谁想说真话，你就会被打、被抓、被判，也许被失踪。Today, we have a hero who used to be in students' movement. I was in Tiananmen Square in Beijing, and he, Mr. Zhang Lin, was 16 years in jail, more than 10 times arrested by the Communist Party regime because he wanted to tell the truth. Chinese people in the mainland have no freedom of speech, no freedom of publication, no freedom of assembly, no freedom of religious beliefs. Whoever you are, you want to have a freedom. You cannot even say so. Billions of people living in the living jail. Tibetans and the Uyghurs even further crushed down by the Chinese Communist regime. They have millions of people who are in living jail, prison camps. But the Chinese Communist regime said they are being job training. This Communist Party regime lied to the whole world. Shame on that Communist Party regime. 中国共产党暴徒政府一向欺骗人民，奴役人民。Today, when I hear the anti-fascism marching band, when they have a lively music, it makes me thought about when we were in Tiananmen Square. People never had such a great time, can say something what they want to say, can tell what they want to tell, and can shout what they want to shout. Unfortunately, it was only 56 days. The night before the massacre, the military occupied crematories in Beijing. Why do they have a military occupy the crematory? Because the big massacre was planned by the Chinese Communist regime. During the massacre, the military in the front, the tank ran crazy. Doesn't matter who you are, you could become meeting pancake. In Beijing, many people there. If you want to get your relative's body burned, if you want to burn it sooner, you have to pay bribes in order to get it burned sooner. That's called a backdoor. But when the military went to the crematoriums, they just quickly piled the bodies up, prepared to take those who were killed in Tiananmen Square. On the night of June 4th, we saw on TV, in the dark, no lights, but only have a little bit light they could see. They cleaned up the bloodshed. The Tiananmen Massacre happened to surprise the world. But the Chinese Communist Party regime never admitted it happened. Even today, the Chinese Communist Party regime lie about it, cover up about it. Whoever tell the truth, arrest them immediately. 中国共产党暴政，听不得人们说真话，他们没有胆量说真话，听真话。就是这个反动政权，6月4号，军车机枪开进了天安门广场， 1万多人就这样无影无踪了。We would like to call the world. We would like to call U.S. government and the people. Please support the truth. Please tell the truth. Please do whatever. Take down that Chinese Communist Party regime. Down with the Communist Party of China. 打倒共产党！打倒共产党！打倒共产党！ We want democracy. Thank you so much. Now we have an anti-fascism marching band. Thank you. honored today. From 30 years ago, there is a U.S. senator in the nation support Chinese democracy and human rights. He supported the students, and he submitted a bill. It's called Protect Chinese Students Bill. And after that, many Chinese students, after joining the demonstration against the Chinese regime, could be safely stayed in the United States. We couldn't thank enough for this senator, and we will always remember and thank him. Let's welcome Senator Westlake.
We gather here today not to celebrate a triumph, but to mourn a great double tragedy. The tragedy of the loss of the opportunity for democracy and freedom and human rights in China, the opportunity to bring the blessings of liberty to the largest polity in the world. But equally or more greatly so, we mourn the loss of thousands of lives at Tiananmen Square and in its aftermath, of wonderful potential citizens of a free and equitable China itself. The government of the People's Republic of China mercilessly shot down those students and many men and women of several generations who joined together in demonstrations for freedom at Tiananmen Square itself. We gather here today to renew our dedication to the freedom they died for, and to pledge that we will not give up their cause. We may also reflect on the success of the Chinese Students' Act of 1992 that offered succor to some 54,000 citizens of the country, many thousands of whom ultimately became citizens of the United States, in an act that strengthened the United States by their services and penalized the People's Republic of China by the thought of losing them. And even those who returned to China thereafter carried quietly and softly within them the seeds of what a free society is like, and may, at least in some cases, be the generators of just such a freedom in China itself. The People's Republic of China has substituted arbitrary rule for the rule of law. It engages in surveillance and control over its citizens. It bars the free flow of ideas and honest political and social debate. It encourages the systematic and constant theft of the intellectual property of the United States. It lives by the myth that democracy is not suited for the Chinese character in the face of the lively and highly successful democracy that has been built by Chinese on Taiwan itself. We celebrate the virtues of democracy in which all citizens have a voice in picking those who are to represent it. And while it sometimes seems slow and messy and subject to criticism, we reflect on the comment of Britain's great Winston Churchill. Democracy is the worst form of government except for all of the others that have been tried and have failed. We believe in the rule of law, not individual dictation, and in the fact that our laws are written by the freely elected representatives of the people whom those laws govern. It is that system that you seek for the people of mainland China. The road is likely to be long and tortuous, but no prize could be of greater value. Let us then work together to attain that magnificent goal when the people of China will be as free as the people of the United States. A cause worth working for. Thank you.
Mr. John Chow, Progressive Democratic Party of Washington, make a speech. Welcome.
Hello everybody, my name is John Cho. I live in Seattle for 40 years. I used to work in a company called Victor O. Gray Company, who Slade Gordon, Senator, is co-owner one time, I remember. But of course you don't know me. I'm very happy and sad here to talk about the 30th anniversary of this Tiananmen Massacre. Tiananmen Massacre is a very tragic thing happening in China. I come from Taiwan, and in that time, 1989, I remember, Taiwan and China is the same in a totalitarian system that governed just by a few. But in 1989, something happened. In Taiwan, there's a degree of people try to break free of the prison, break free of their thought. So they take their life. One of them is called Zheng Nanlong. He burned himself to demonstrate Taiwanese is brave. And in 1989 in China, is a similar thing happened. People is so helpful, thinking that they can start to have more saying of the future of their own. But the result is that Chinese government decide to crack down the Tiananmen and sending tanks out and crack down in a very brutal way. But in Taiwan, the government finally find out that there must be a way that can let people talk there democratically and to express their feeling. And since then, of 1989, the two countries doing their separate way. As we can see, today Taiwan is a fully democratic. People can say what they want without being afraid of being imprisoned. And China, on the other hand, going away of everybody is quiet. Everybody is not able to talk. And it's all because of the communist Chinese government thinking they can represent China. There's no other people can do that. And that's a very dangerous thing. And nowadays, they are suffering the consequences. And for a long time, that American government and also European system thinking by engaging with Chinese government and encourage them for the economic progress, that eventually people in China can freely starting to have their freedom in democracy and human rights. But I'm in a sense glad that for the last 3 years, people in United States start to realize maybe we are doing the wrong way. We should be more firm to let Chinese government know that we are very not happy about what they taking care of their own people. And in a sense, this greatness happening for the last 3 years has some result. We have some pressure on Chinese, and I'm totally for the government of US to put more pressure negotiating with China to get them free up their thinking of try to oppress people. And one day China can also live like US, free and can live without fear, and also like Taiwan. And Taiwan want to be independent from China, that's a very important thing because nobody wants to be governed by Chinese Communist Party. That's all I want to say, and I am very happy about every year I attend this activity. Every year I see the different thing, and this year I see a lot of enthusiastic attendance, and I hope this will continue. Eventually we can change China's system to a democratic system. Thank you very much.
下面我们有请华盛顿州民主党时区候选人戴维德先生上台演讲。
Good evening, everyone. Dave Strider. I'll repeat it again. I prepared something here for you all today. I had the distinct honor 2 weeks ago to be at a memorial service in Paris, France. One of the leadership of this group passed away unexpectedly. A lot of question around his death. But at the memorial service, I had many interpreters and translators. In the eyes and in their voice, I saw sorrow for Mr. Chen. I saw happiness for the life that they brought to them, the hope, the future that they could see, a democratic China. I was truly humbled by that experience. I felt, with all the emotion going on that day, I felt like a father holding his child for the first time. Happiness to be in the company, and also sad for what the future may hold. But together as a people, it doesn't matter where we live, whether we're Chinese, American, or some other country. We all want the same thing: freedom. We want the right to choose our direction. We want the right to be able to see and plan our future. We want to have our families. We want to be able to grow as part of society, to visit other people, to embrace other things. We can't do that, especially the people of China right now. My wife was in Thailand this year to help lay her mother to rest. We only had a short time. We had 12 hours to get an airplane ticket for her. But on her way back, her stopover, her layover, was almost a day in Shanghai. They didn't know anything about Facebook. They didn't know anything about social media. And if it wasn't for the kindness of a young Chinese soldier who helped her get on the internet so that she could send me an email to let me know she was safe. We shouldn't have to worry about our loved ones that way. And that was just for 12 hours for me. Think about the people who are living it every day. I am so happy and humbled and proud to be part of this group, the democratic push to bring democracy to the people of China. We fought for them. We fought for the Chinese in World War II. The Flying Tigers, they were Americans and other European groups that came there to do what? To fight with the Chinese against the Japanese imperialistic army. We had a chance after World War II to tell Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek, let the people decide their leadership. Let them decide. We had the greatest army. We still do. But do we want to have people listen to us because our army is might? No. We want people to listen to us because what we say is true. We want peace. We don't want war. We want freedom. We want speech, to be able to assemble. And I go back to that day in Paris. I was truly humbled. And I'm grateful to be part of this group. I'm grateful to be Jane's friend. I want to thank you all for being here. Remember, freedom is something that you don't take for granted. It's something that you have to fight for every day. And this is something else we all have to remember. Our leaders serve the people, not the people serving the leaders. Thank you, Jane.
Wonderful.
谢谢 David 的经常演讲。下面由愤怒的奶奶合唱团上台合唱，我们一定渡过难关和我们雷打不动两首曲目，谢谢。
Our next honored guests really need no introduction. You know them and love them as the Raging Grannies.
Go, girls.
Good evening, everybody. We are the Seattle Raging Grannies, and I want to thank Jane for inviting us to participate in the 30th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square Massacre. All of our songs tonight are going to be for China's hope for the future, and we want to make sure that we participate in the remembrance of the massacre. Do our part. Thank you, Jane. Yes.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Young and old together, we shall not be moved. Young and old together, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. We're singing out for freedom. We shall not be moved. We're singing out for freedom. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. Listen to the students. Listen to the students. We shall not be moved. Listen to the students. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. All the world together, we shall not be moved. All the world together. afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid We are not alone. Sing with us. We are not alone. We are not alone.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. We would like to warm welcome Amnesty International in charge person, Mr. Don Creevy, has been supporting us many years. Let's welcome him.
I'm not sure I can follow an act like that, but I'll give it a shot. On the evening of 3rd to 4th June 1989, Chinese tanks rolled into Tiananmen Square to brutally crush a democracy movement. Hundreds, possibly thousands of people were killed when troops opened fire on the students and workers who for weeks have been peacefully calling for political reforms. No one knows the exact number of dead because 30 years on, authorities in China continue to do all they can to stop people from asking questions about these events. In the 30 years since June 1989, China has seen an impressive level of economic development that has made them a major factor in international affairs. But this progress has not been matched politically. Repression of human rights in China is as bad now as it has ever been. The Chinese government controls every aspect of human behavior. They continue to discriminate against and harass religious and ethnic minorities. Today, China is holding hundreds of thousands of ethnic Uyghurs in prison camps, accused of behaviors like having abnormal beards or refusing to watch Chinese state television. Tibetans are prohibited from practicing their religion and suffer high rates of poverty as a result of policies favoring Han Chinese who relocate to Tibet. In Hong Kong, members of the famed Umbrella Movement have been arrested and imprisoned for their peaceful pro-democracy activities. China is notable for the extent of its ever-escalating war on the free exchange of information. The Great Firewall, as it is popularly known, prevents Chinese citizens from accessing independent journalism by organizations like the BBC, social media platforms like Facebook, and informational sites like Wikipedia. This isolationism stands in direct contrast to its claims of being an open society. Equally disturbing is China's program of 24-hour surveillance of its citizens, imposing a level of conformity that would amaze George Orwell if he were alive today. Facial recognition technology is used to build a social credit system which allots a point system to each citizen. The system is growing beyond collecting data for nuisance behaviors like littering or credit scores like tracking debt default, and also now includes political affiliation, sexual identity, and religious practice. The consequences of not conforming include travel restrictions, decreased access to schools, and loss of business opportunities. These are more than matters of internal affairs, a term China generally uses to defend its human rights abuses against international condemnation. The technologies and policies China developed for social control are being marketed to other countries. Software companies like Google and Apple are required to adhere to China's complete control over search content. No subject is more forbidden in China than Tiananmen Square. Anyone wishing to commemorate the victims, as we are doing here today, is subject to harassment and imprisonment. Ding Zhilin, whose then 17-year-old son Zhang Zhilian was killed by troops during the June 4th crackdown, is a founding member of the Tiananmen Mothers, a group of families of victims who are seeking an investigation into the June 4th bloodshed. On 20th May of this year, police ordered the 82-year-old Ding Zhilin to leave her home in Beijing and travel more than 1,100 kilometers to her hometown, Wuxi. Sichuan activist Deng Xuanbin was placed under criminal detention on suspicion of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. His detention is believed to relate to a tweet he posted commemorating the Tiananmen protests. In April, activist Chen Bing was sentenced to 3.5 years in jail after he and 3 other activists were found guilty of picking quarrels and provoking trouble for the unique commemoration of the Tiananmen anniversary on special bottles of liquor. The Chinese government must accept that no amount of suppression will ever erase the horror of the wholesale slaughter that took place in and around Tiananmen Square. The first step towards justice would be to finally allow people in China, including elderly parents whose children were killed in the crackdown, to commemorate the victims of June 4. In addition, Amnesty International calls on President Xi and the Chinese government to publicly acknowledge the human rights violations which occurred in 1989, to launch an open and independent inquiry and hold those responsible for human rights violations accountable, to provide compensation to victims of the 1989 crackdown and their families, to cease harassment and prosecution of those commemorating or speaking out about the 1989 protests, and those more generally exercising their human rights to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. History does not belong to the victors, it belongs to the people. Let's give it back to them.
Yay.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ho Ming-shi.
下面有请中国民主党中国民联负责人后明学先生上台演讲，谢谢。
I speak Chinese. 我念一首诗吧。入世30周年祭，年年今日雨潇潇，泪洒长天漫寂寥。肩背有迟埋罪孽，忠魂无路任飘摇。京城昨夜流英血，华夏明朝转怒潮。待到勋魁公审日，此生一醉9000瓢。谢谢。
Association Board Member, Mr. Sam.
Okay, hello. Thank you all for coming and supporting the remembrance on this anniversary day. 30 years ago, such a heart-breaking event
in Beijing, but we should also remember that it happened in other parts, most notably in Chengdu also. I have a short remark prepared here, and thank you for involving us today. Tibetan Association Washington, we are here to stand with the Chinese brothers and sisters in celebrating the courage and remembering the sacrifices that were made in June of 1989. We remember, as I mentioned, that this protest is not just in Beijing, but in other parts of China. I think that's very important to remember, and that the massacres took place in other places also. Today, repression by the communist government is at its worst, but the universal yearning for freedom, equality, and dignity will never be extinguished. Tibetans continue to hope for a free Tibet. We remain committed to nonviolence. To date, we had over 160 people burning themselves up, self-immolating, and crying for freedom, trying to draw attention of the world to our plight. What you see happening these days in Xinjiang with the people with the Uyghurs, over 1 million people imprisoned, that policy was perfected in Tibet. The communist leader who was in charge of Tibet perfected that, and he's promoted to Xinjiang, and he is now implementing that with the Uyghurs. There's no press allowed in Tibet, apart from the very rare window dressing visits that the government allows. We all have the same yearning for freedom, dignity, and equality as those who showed up that June in 1989. Today, we should also recall that there was a thing called apartheid in South Africa, that there was a communist Soviet rule in Eastern Europe, that there were the Nazis in Germany wreaking havoc in Europe. But freedom wins. Freedom will outlast tyranny. Our desire for freedom cannot be broken. Please don't be silent in the face of injustice. Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the University of Washington, Professor Darren Byler.
下面有请华盛顿大学中国问题研究教授丹尼斯上台演讲，谢谢。
谢谢大家。I'm Darren Byler. I'm a professor at the University of Washington. I do research in Xinjiang, in northwest China, with Uyghurs. It's the Turkic Muslim minority that live in that region. That's their homeland. I want to start by taking us back to 1989 on May 18. A young man named Wu Kaixi met with the premier, the leader of China, named Li Peng, in the Xinjiang room in the Great Hall of the People. He was there with a few other student activists, and they were meeting with him to try to resolve what was happening. They had just been in the middle of their hunger strike. They had just come from the hospital. He was dressed in his hospital gown. And when Li Peng walked into the room, he apologized for coming late. And he was talking, and Wu Kaixi spoke up. He interrupted him, and he spoke with his hand like this in a rhythm, saying, "You not only came late today, but you've come too late altogether." And that was him really standing up, speaking truth to power. Of course, in the end, the state did crack down on them, but in that moment, the students had the upper hand. And there's video of this that circulated widely. Of course, in China, they're not able to watch it, but in northwest China, in the Uyghur region, they had heard this story. Wu Kaixi, his name in Uyghur is Urkesh. He is Uyghur. He was one of the only minority leaders in that group of student leaders. Many Uyghurs, young Uyghurs that I met during my research in northwest China talked about Urkesh and his passion, his ability to speak back to power, his concern with civil disobedience, and they also wanted to follow in that path. Today, that path is almost completely blocked. Most Uyghurs have no access to speaking any sort of truth to power. Over the last 2 years, I've lost around 30 of my friends to the re-education camps. These are young, college-educated people, scholars, intellectuals, poets, artists, any profession you can think of, they've been taken. The Chinese state is really targeting a certain group of Uyghurs. They've taken around 1.5 million of people they deem untrustworthy and sent them to these re-education camps. But they're mostly young men and young women between the ages of 20 and 30. They're targeting a particular generation of Uyghurs in order to replace and systematically transform Uyghur society. They've also separated the children from their parents, sending them to re-education boarding schools, which they call Cherish Heart Centers, kindness centers. They talk about this as a process of giving something to the Uyghurs by helping them to replace their society with a new one. Why is this happening? The Uyghur region is home to lots and lots of natural resources. 20 to 30% of Chinese oil and natural gas. 80% of Chinese cotton comes from this region, and so there's lots of economic incentives to go into this region. The Chinese state is using the rhetoric of the war on terror, which started here in the United States, and now attaching it to this entire population of people, the Uyghurs, and saying that they are proto-terrorists, and that by taking them to these camps, they're going to head off any form of terrorist insurgency. There have been violent incidents in the past that have involved Uyghurs, but in general, they're very small, and it's a very small part of the population of people that have been actually involved in those attacks. And so the state is really just taking American rhetoric and amping it up, using it to target a whole population. So that's what I want to tell you. This is what's happening to Uyghurs. It's happening right now. They're in camps where they're asked to praise Xi Jinping, praise the Communist Party before they're given a meal. There's all kinds of psychological torture that's associated with the process that they're going through. If they don't participate in the programs, they can be punished by being placed in stress positions, being placed in isolation, being forced to eat pork, which goes against their religion since they are Muslim. All these forms of torture and terror that is being visited on these people. And it's not just the people in the camps. Everyone outside of the camps are afraid of being sent to the camps. Everyone knows about the camps. Everyone has a relative or family member, a friend that's being sent to the camps. So what can you do about this? Well, there's a bill in Congress that just passed through the committee. It's now being sent to the Senate for consideration. It's called the Uyghur Human Rights Bill of 2019. You can urge our senators here in Washington State to support this. Marie Cantwell and Patty Murray have not yet, so urge them to support that. If you're interested in the presidential election, you can petition the person that you're rooting for to talk about this as part of their foreign policy platform. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg have already started to talk about the Uyghur issue as an important part of their consideration when it comes to Chinese foreign policy. So do that as well. You can also, if you're a Washington State employee, you can petition the people that are in charge of your retirement fund to divest from technology that is being used to surveil the Uyghurs. Right now they are. It's an investment fund called Silver Lake. Ask your people, the people in your administration if you're in a union, teachers union, what have you, to divest from this fund. Tell all your friends about what's happening to the Uyghurs. It's important that this become mainstream. Most people don't know who the Uyghurs are. They're a Turkic, stateless group. They're Muslim and they feel really far away. They don't have a lot of international coverage. So keep talking about them and bring it up with all of your friends. Thank you so much.
下面我们有请台湾同乡会主席林义宏先生上台演讲。
Now we have someone from the Taiwan Association used to play.
Thanks for the invitation. First,
I'd like to say something about democratic movement. As a democratic country that had been undergone massacre and had been through martial law, all Taiwanese people know that this process is not easy to fight for democracy and freedom. Therefore, I believe we all definitely support and define the value of democracy. Many years ago, some Chinese or Taiwanese people who promoted democratic movement couldn't go back to their hometown. Even now, China isn't a democratic country, and the Chinese people would be arrested overseas if they support democracy. It's a pity to say that Chinese government even also arrests foreign people. For example, Li Mingze, as a Taiwanese human rights advocate, has been being arrested by Chinese government for more than 2 years. Today is the 30th anniversary of Tiananmen Square massacre. Sadly, China is still a totalitarian country and still far away from being a democratic country. Again, I'd like to call for Chinese government to release Li Mingze as soon as possible. Without justification, it's not tolerated to arbitrarily arrest foreign people and arrest those who fight for human rights and democracy. However, fighting for democracy is just the first step. Even itself is already not an easy one. But the more difficult is to defend it forever to ensure democracy not that weak. Just like Chinese democratic movement people, Taiwan had been through a lot to fight for democracy, and we succeeded. Although as now being a democratic country, we are still largely threatened by Chinese government. By all means to take over or destroy our democratic system. I would deeply believe democracy should be the universal value for all modern countries and all human being natures. Beyond fighting for Chinese democracy, please also stand on Taiwan's side to support Taiwan to be continued an independent, democratic country forever. Thank you. 下面我们有请华盛顿州共和党主流组织主席 Westlake 上台演讲，谢谢。
Westlake is a Republican Party mainstream chairman.
Thank you for the honor of speaking here. My name is Mike Vasca, and I'm the chairman of Mainstream Republicans of Washington, a Republican group here in our state. Two of our founders are Senator Slade Gorton, who you heard from earlier, and Governor Dan Evans. You heard Senator Gorton speak about his role in welcoming the Chinese students after Tiananmen. Some of you may know that Governor Dan Evans welcomed the refugees from Southeast Asia fleeing communist tyranny in the 1970s. And their movement that they created helped make Washington a welcoming place for refugees, a place that welcomes refugees. I experienced that myself. I was not a refugee, but my father was. My father was born on a collective farm in the Soviet Union, and as I say, came to this country courtesy of Nazi Germany. He was a slave laborer, came here as a teenager, and growing up, we talked about the tyranny that the people of Eastern Europe faced at the time behind the Iron Curtain. And we never thought that the Iron Curtain would fall because of the iron grip that the communists had. But in 1987, in June of 1987, just 2 years before the Tiananmen Square movement, Ronald Reagan, a Republican president, stood at the Brandenburg Gate and asked Mikhail Gorbachev, he said, tear down this wall, tear down this wall. He believed that communism would fall and that freedom would win out. And his belief powered that movement, which led to the fall of the Iron Curtain and freedom for all those people that were formerly under communist oppression. So the point of this is, don't lose hope. These kinds of gatherings are key if we're ever going to free mainland China from communist rule. So I hear that in the passion of the speakers, and I'm really, really honored to be here speaking to you today. So thank you very much.
下面由我们来诵读一下由中国之春创始人、中国民联创始人王炳章家人写来的一封信。
Now I'd like to read a letter from the family of Dr. Wang Bingzhan, founder of the Chinese Spring. Today is the 30th anniversary of the June 4th massacre. My mood is very heavy. 30 years ago, a large number of outstanding young students of the Chinese nation have lost their precious lives for Chinese democracy, human rights, and freedom. The heroic deeds will be remembered forever by future generations. Cry for the fallen spirits of June 4th. Cry for the mothers of those heroes of June 4th. Also cry for my own dear mother. My mother shed tears every day. She did not see her dear son Wang Bingzhan till death. My dear brother Wang Bingzhan has been detained in Chinese prison for 17 years. Although 2 major crimes imposed on him in the past have all been overthrown, China still holds Wang Bingzhan alone and still insists on life imprisonment. My younger brother Wang Bingzhan has been in prison for many times at the age of 71. He hopes that China will carry out a humanitarian spirit and release my dear brother Wang Bingzhan and let him return to us. Two major changes imposed on Wang Bingzhan. Sorry, technical difficulties. 2 major charges imposed on Dr. Wang Bingzhan: bombing the Chinese embassy in Thailand. The Thai government has issued evidence that Wang Bingzhan had never bombed the Chinese embassy in Thailand. Taiwan espionage. The Taiwan authorities have already issued a certificate stating that the Taiwan authorities have never sent Wang Bingzhan to act as a Taiwan spy. Wang Bingzhan is held in solitary confinement for 17 years. We can still go see him a few years ago, but then China will not give us a visa and prevented us from entering China. These include Yuan Wang, Bingwu Wang, and Tiananmen Wang. Wang Bingzhan has been studying the Bible for 17 years and interpreting the Bible code. He told us that God is accompanying him every day. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we are here to commemorate the June 4th. Please don't forget the leader of the democracy movement, Wang Bingzhan. Please pay attention to the rescue of Wang Bingzhan. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the friends who have cared for Wang Bingzhan for many years and the friends who have contributed money and effort to rescue Wang Bingzhan. Do not forget June 4th, and God bless China.
Let me read the letter in Mandarin. 今天是6·4屠杀的30周年纪念日，我的心情非常沉重。 30年前的今天，大批优秀的青年学生和中华民族的精英，为了中国民主、人权和自由，献出了他们的宝贵生命。他们的英雄事迹可歌可泣，并永远载入人类文明史，流芳千古。哭6·4，吊亡灵，哭那些英雄的天安门母亲们，也哭我亲爱的母亲。我的母亲天天以泪洗面，至死也没有见到他的儿子。我亲爱的弟弟王炳章在中国监狱被关押了17年，现在虽然已把当年强加在他头上的2项罪名全部推翻，但中国仍然还单独关押王炳章，仍然坚持无期徒刑。我的弟弟王炳章已经71岁了，在狱中多次中风，希望中国实行人道主义精神，释放我亲爱的弟弟王炳章，让他回到我们的身边。那么加在王炳章身上的2大罪名是什么呢？一，轰炸中国驻泰国大使馆，泰国政府以出具证明说王炳章从来没有轰炸中国驻泰国的大使馆。2，台湾间谍罪，台湾当局早已出具证明说台湾当局从未派王炳章做台湾间谍。王炳章被单独关押了17年前，几年前我们都还可以去看他，但后来中国就不给我们签证了，不让我们进入中国，其中包括我们的亲人王金环、王玉华、王炳武、王天安。王炳章17年以来一直在研读圣经，解读圣经密码。他告诉我们，上帝每天在陪伴着他。亲爱的先生们、女士们，我们在这里纪念6·4，请大家不要忘记民运领袖王炳章，请大家关心、营救王炳章。借此机会，我要向多年以来关心支持王炳章的朋友和为营救王炳章出钱出力的朋友说声谢谢你们。勿忘6·4，主佑中华。谢谢。
And now our guest of honor for the evening, Mr. Jean Lin.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. 今天我们在这里纪念6·4那1万名丧失生命的青年。
Today we are in commemoration of more than 10,000 people who died during the Tiananmen Massacre.
我还想提醒大家，在共产党统治中国的70年里，他们用各种各样的方式虐待、杀害了1亿中国人。
Under the Chinese Communist Party regime, since ever they took over the regime 70 years, and they killed in all different kind of names over 1 million people.
尤其是在最近40年，当他们竭尽全力蒙蔽国际社会的时候，他们还杀害了4亿胎儿。这些胎儿大部分都已经有5个月，他们已经拥有生命权。
Especially recent years, Chinese Communist Party regime and killed those unborn babies, at least 4 million.
所以中共是人类有史以来最残酷的集团。
The Chinese Communist Party is the most inhumane regime.
他们杀害的生命可能超过了全人类所有的犯罪集团 屠杀的总和。
The Chinese Communist Party regime killed those people amount is more than any other nation's total.
而且中共在最近几十年里面，依靠盗窃西方的知识产权和残酷农役中国人，把10几亿中国人当成奴隶一样来农役，榨取了一些大量的钱财。他们利用这些钱财，正在进一步的危害整个世界。
Recent years, the Chinese Communist Party regime stealing high-tech from Western world and use that to ruling Chinese people and suck the blood out of ordinary people.
所以这个世界，不仅仅要纪念天安门事件里面的受难者，还要想到中共所有的罪恶，还要提防中共，而且呢，还要遏制中共对这个世界上的威胁。
We are not only in commemoration of those who died in Tiananmen Square. We must be aware the Chinese Communist regime is a big threat to the world who would like to have a freedom and a democracy.
我在推特里面的大部分网友都支持美国政府对中共进行经济制裁，而且我们认为应该有更多的制裁。
Most of my friends through the Twitter all support United States economic sanction, and we think we need a sanction on the Chinese dictatorship regime more.
在中共有能力威胁整个人类的自由，和生命之前，应该阻止它。
Before the Chinese Communist Party could ruling the world, we must stop them now.
好，谢谢大家 ，Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And now we welcome. We would like to thank you all the organizations who supporting this event, and all the people are here. You have a beautiful art. We want to thank you very much. Raging Granny have 2 more songs, and then after that will be anti-fascism Raging Man. Okay, 2 more songs, please. I'm sorry.
They are. We are.
When all the prisoners have been released, when all the prisoners have been released, oh how I want to be in that number, when the prisoners are released. When elections are both free and fair, when elections are free and fair, oh when
Elections are free and fair.
oh how I want to be in that number, when elections are free and fair. When we all listen to our youth, when we all listen to our youth, oh how I want to be in that number. Stand for all, when human rights stand for all. Oh, how I want to be in that number, when human rights stand for all. When democracy is worldwide, democracy is worldwide. Oh, how I want to be in that number, when democracy is worldwide. Thank you. freedom. Down by the riverside, study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Ain't gonna study war no more.
You shall not be moved. If you have the good graces, you shall not be moved.
Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around, turn me around, keep on walking, keep on walking.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll see you.